what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum, which you should definitely all join. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Chocolate Saying, 10th Man, Quantum Eraser, Righteous Force, The One, Sleeping Warrior, Arwin, and I think that's pretty much it in G+. Welcome one and all.
No, Paul.
Good
Oh, and
afternoon.
Paul. Hello, Paul.
We're good to go.
Hello.
Hello.
We're also joined by a lot of people in Discord. Hello, everyone in Discord. Good to have you all.
Hello.
And yes, we are now live, just so you all are aware.
Right. All right. Cool. So dances full.
No, I want
yeah.
you to address mine.
So,
Wait a minute, Chris. I want you to address me. Address me, because I asked you a question.
okay. Yeah.
So you have no evidence that asteroids exist. You believe that someone saw them, and this so-called lights in the sky. So you have blind faith in this so-called astronomer that they saw something in the sky, and they call it an asteroid.
I don't personally have any evidence that I can present to you that asteroids exist. However, you could, for example, go to an observatory, and I'm sure they'd be happy to show you how they detect them and track them. They have an entire military wing dedicated to tracking these objects in orbit.
Yeah, but the burden of proof is on you because you're the one making the claim.
Oh, wait a minute, Erwin. That's okay.
Right.
Okay.
No, I was talking about an article.
I'm talking about asteroids because that was the topic. You can change it once we're finished. You can go back to the article, so that's okay. So, how do you know that these things they track in the sky are solid bodies of so-called asteroids? What's your evidence of that?
I suppose I just defer to the experts.
Okay, so you have blind faith that these so-called experts.
Okay, so if you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you you have cancer, are you going to want to open yourself up and see the tumor for yourself and confirm it, or are you just going to trust the doctor?
Well, normally most of the doctors I go to, they give me the results, they walk me through and explain it. I have a very good typical understanding of what's going on. I don't just go in and say, the doctor says you have cancer and okay, you can cut me open. Usually they walk me through, they show me the x-rays, they show me the blood test, they walk me through the evidence to show that I have cancer.
Exactly.
And by that point, I would make a wise decision whether to have them cut on me or not. But you have blind faith that someone told
so you could do the same for asteroids. You could go.
He didn't hear you, Paul. He was talking through you the whole time.
No, I heard him. You could go to like an astronomer, an amateur astronomer even, and they will walk you through the process of how they detect.
Oh, so an amateur pseudoscientist. So an amateur pseudoscientist.
John.
He's gonna do the same thing as you're doing.
Amateur pseudoscientist, right?
So it says there. Jesus Christ! I
Okay,
just brought up an article.
I'm tired of you
and then
with your mouth. So I said so. An amateur pseudoscientist, Chris. That deserves an answer. Answer it.
Jesus. I just brought up an article. It was just for conversation, and now you're jumping on me about this nonsense. You could approach an amateur astronomer, or you could approach a professional astronomer, right? And they will walk you through how they detect asteroids.
Okay.
Hold on, both of you. The reason you get hold on, Chris. The reason you're getting talked through is because he's made a point, but you've just not acknowledged it. And
okay, well, I'm afraid a lot of the words are breaking up. Like I said, there must be a Skype hiccup here. I think there's a bottleneck.
Okay.
So what was it I was supposed to address?
Your blind faith in physical bodies based on the words of pseudoscientists.
Okay, so like I said about the doctor and telling you have cancer, and
we don't want to hear it again.
You know, said we walk you through it. So do the same with an astronomer.
False equivalent.
So
it's a false equivalence fallacy from the Black Lagoon.
Why?
Because Because actual doctors, they're scientists. They have a science background, right? Astronomers are not scientists.
And astronomers don't.
That's right. There are no scientists that are astronomers because astronomy isn't science. They can't follow the scientific method. The things that make something science. Science distinguishes itself. The scientific method distinguishes science from other forms of explanation because of its requirement for systematic experimentation. To have an experiment, you have to have a hypothesis. To have a hypothesis, you have to have a natural phenomena observed. See, they can observe phenomena, astronomers can, but they can't formulate hypotheses. So, astronomers out there, I want one astronomer to come on here, and I want to hear a single viable scientific hypothesis in the entire history of astronomy. I want one. Right
I want
now.
£1,000 from Anthony Riley. Right. Anyway, John, if memory serves, you used
Riley.
a quote
What's wrong with you, Chris?
from a university.
Yeah, you guys are sounding real bad right now.
Department of
You guys
Physics
are
and
sounding
Astronomy.
What does Anthony Riley have to do with my statement?
No. Right, John, did you hear what I said? You used a quote about the scientific method from a university that included the Department of Physics.
Who cares?
Well, I thought astronomy was not a science, therefore you shouldn't have used that quote.
I used a citation from physics labs. I don't care what they call their department. What does that have to do with anything?
You're breaking up.
Look, something can have a department in a university that doesn't automatically make it science. Okay?
Right.
Yeah. Go back to Gem Panda retard server.
There's some breaking up going on here, so I can't help it. And John's
sure
long
there
pauses
is.
make me think
in between your ears.
Mind.
Thanks, Arwen. Thanks for helping me out.
So, right, let's take an example then about approaching something scientifically. And Arwen, you're involved in this.
No,
so
he's
Arwen,
not.
Remember when you scientifically? Yeah, he is. Remember when you scientifically?
No, he's not. You're talking to me.
See if you were gay or not. What was your independent variable?
What?
That's not a scientific exploration.
Did I make a scientific claim? I don't.
Oh my God!
You did. You said I approached this scientifically.
It's not a scientific exploration. It's not a cause and effect.
That's
not a phenomena.
I'm just saying what Arwen said.
Relative density, yeah, definitely. I approached that scientifically, in opposition to assuming gravity.
I mean, I don't care if you're gay or not. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. But
really?
You said,
you know there was a relative density experiment done by Anthony Riley. Maybe you should go watch that.
Hey, you coward, Mark Taylor!
And
you little freaking keyboard warrior! You won't say a word in the live stream, right? But you'll type away in the chat, right? Tell me, why shouldn't I kick your ass out of here for being a yellow-spined coward?
Because I'm adorable.
Shut up.
He's talking to Mark Taylor.
Shut up. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Mark Taylor. Come on. I'll tell you what. Come off mute right now or your ass is gone. Where are you?
I don't think he's in there. I think Righteous has moved him to the after show because he wasn't talking, and then he's left.
All right.
Mark is just a spectator anyway.
Yep. So back to my question there, Chris. You're talking to me. I said, give me one astronomer with one single hypothesis viable in the entire history of astronomy. I want to see it right now.
I can't.
You bet your ass you
That's
can't.
an on the spot. That's an on the spot fallacy, John. You should be familiar with that. On the spot fallacy.
Hold on. Go on, Chris. What's the on the spot fallacy?
On the spot fallacy is when you demand evidence immediately, and then when you can't provide it, then they say that your claim is automatically false. That's on the spot fallacy. So, off the top of my head, I mean, I could Google it and get the proper definition, but that's the gist.
Can you? It's a new one on me. I've not heard it before. So yes, if you could, that'd be really helpful.
Sorry, dude, but we're working on the really is level here, so we're gonna go straight to the evidence.
I mean, while he's looking it up, I mean, just on the surface of what you've said so far, if you're asking somebody to support a claim they're making, to demand that isn't really an on-the-spot fallacy if they're making a claim that you're demanding backup for.
No, so they've literally found a way to make asking for evidence a fallacy.
Yes, that's correct, Chocolate.
Do you realize this?
Yeah.
Wow, guys.
Okay, may I, Nathan?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, from Rational Wiki.
You're all crackly again, though. Hold on.
Fallacy.
You're all crackly. You've gone all distorted and crackly.
God damn.
I need one of those cards that says technical difficulties with the girl holding the balloon. Like colour code cards. Not that you need them on modern TVs, but...
So Nathan, if there's a on-the-spot fallacy, is there an off-the-spot fallacy as well?
I don't know. But by the sounds of things, I should be able to say to you now, 10th man, unicorns are real. Now you challenge me to prove it. Go on.
All right. Can you prove unicorns are real?
How dare you? That's an on-the-spot fallacy.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Oh my god.
Can somebody read his Rational Wiki source, which is a joke anyway?
Is that
better? Go ahead.
Yes, that's much better, Chris. Did you find your... Did you post something?
Yeah, I've got it.
Brilliant.
Right,
Can you read it?
An on-the-spot fallacy is a logical fallacy that occurs when a debater is considered wrong or even incapable of having an opinion if they cannot recite specific data or technical minutiae on some topic. The fallacy asserts that one must be an expert on the topic in order to discuss anything related to it, and at that an expert with flawless...
Ha!
Yeah,
well,
but hold on. But from the sounds of that, Chris, do you appreciate that the fallacy has been positioned from the person making the assertion? So it's positioned in such a way as if I make a claim and then demand that you must be an expert to challenge my claim, but that's not what's happening here. You're making an assertion and we're challenging you to back it. And you're saying because we're asking you to back your assertion, that's this fallacy. But it would only work from the person who's making the positive assertion.
No, I don't think that's the case here. I mentioned an asteroid that I saw in a Google newsfeed this morning, and John asked me to give him the name of a single astronomer that lives up to his perverted school of quantum razor science, and I can't do that, right? So that he's
I've had enough of you. You're finished. Next. That's it for him. Get out. In fact, get the fuck out of here.
What? No swearing, please. We are live.
Sorry about that.
It's
Yeah,
okay. It's quite comical that Matthias guy was on.
I'd like to respond to his final statement for a second. Yeah, that's all very interesting, but that's not really what we were talking about eventually during the whole argument. So it was a red herring.
What were we talking about? Remind us. You can't remember.
About making claims and providing evidence for claims and the claim that astronomy is a science and why that's not the case. All that.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you win, Chris.
And not his lack of evidence providing.
Oh my God! Shut the fuck up, Arwen.
What are you talking about? Hold on. Arwen was in the middle of a sentence. Bloody hell.
Talking about nonsense. Hey, Chris. Go back to friggin' Gem Panda server where you came from with those retards over there, and you dazzle them with your fucking moron sophistry. Don't come back here. Go ahead, Arwen.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Arwen.
Okay. I was just trying to clarify again for everyone roughly what happened. He brought up a meteor thing that, from that moment on, the conversation quickly dwelled off into general science and astronomy and backing your claim and everything about that. And that's really what we've been talking about. That's not, and also burning him on, not his original thingy about the meteor, because that wasn't really relevant anymore. So
I see. Fair enough. Yeah, you're right. You kept track better than I did.
Oh, I'd just like to share. This is somebody shot this at me at Discord. This video, I'm not going to play it obviously, but this is their evidence of asteroids, a light moving through other lights. That's their evidence of asteroids.
Can you make it big?
I appreciate that.
Can you make it big? Just scrub through it a little bit.
Well, I'm convinced.
Yeah, I am too. I'm convinced now. If I could, it's hard to see without playing it. So,
I mean, if you want to play a few seconds, just keep it to under 10 seconds if you can.
Okay.
Well, just not this bit.
Sorry. Okay. Here we go. You see it?
Yeah, if you can just play till it gets to about 20 seconds. Perfect.
That looks like a burnout pixel.
Yeah, so this light in the sky, this moving in the light in the sky, is proof of a solid body asteroid. Thanks, guys.
Very good.
No wonder he didn't really want to argue for any of these points. Passing on all the housekeeping questions. Like, come on, this is...
Well, how is it that half the astronauts, and I may be off, it could be 40%, say they can't see the lights in the sky, and the other half say, all the stars are everywhere?
Are you around, Righteous Force? Are you there, Righteous?
Yeah.
Are you in the live stream part of the Discord server?
Can be.
Yeah, perfect. Can you come off server mute and stay off mute in the Hangout? In other words, so that you're causing feedback. Can you just do that for me?
Wait, say that again?
That's all I need. Go back on mute. Perfect. So what that demonstrates is that the delay between Hangouts and Discord is less than 1/10 of 1 second. There's no delay. Virtually no delay. Just for the bullshitters like Chris.
It's the old you breaking up trick.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going through a tunnel. Can't quite hear your devastating question.
Yep. Yeah, Brenda's tried that trick a couple of times too. She was like, "Oh, there's delay," and then I'm in the Discord too, and I hear no delay. So yeah.
Hey, keyboard warrior, send the synth. Come off mute. You little punk. Come off mute and speak.
Can I answer 10th man's question about the stars in the sky and why astronauts?
Hold on a second, the one. Send to Seth. Where the hell that is. Or a rock you crawled out from under. Come off mute, you little coward. I'll tell you what, if you don't come off mute and say something, your ass is gone too. Right now. I'll give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye.
Yeah, go ahead, the one.
Yeah, bye, Felicia. 10th man's question about the astronauts. It's because a lot of the writers in Hollywood went on strike about that time. That caused the inconvenience.
The writers went on strike?
Yeah, in Hollywood. They wanted more pay.
You got the citation for that?
Oh, yeah.
I want to see it.
Give me a second.
John, you're in rare form. We got a bouncer in the house. I love it.
Hey, Anon.
Hello.
Not suffering fools today. At all. You get the drift.
Yeah, I can tell.
I like it.
Mark Taylor was giving me a hard time in this chat. I'll go, John, let's walk me through how I would figure out, looking at a light in the sky, that that's a solid body that I can land something on. How would you go through that process? Can you help me figure that out, John? How would you do that?
Hold on a second.
How would you what?
How would I go about this light in the sky that's moving across the stars up there? How would I prove that that's a solid body that I can throw something at or land something on or stand on myself, or that's going to enter into our atmosphere and burn up or destroy the world? How would you go about proving that light in the sky is that? How would you go about that?
Physically go to it.
Into this medium that we can't go through?
Well, yeah, you'd have to travel through Narnia. Just for anyone who's watching and doesn't understand what that means. So space, outer space, a sky vacuum claim is fake. You can't have gas pressure which we breathe next to a sky vacuum. The gas would fill the space.
Nathan?
Yes.
I have a suggestion. I know how I can prove that the lights in the sky are real physical objects that we can land rockets on. In the early to mid 90s, the Shoemaker-Levy meteorite shower rained down on Jupiter, and for days and days and days, you could see that all these explosions were all happening on the surface of Jupiter, and that proves that Jupiter's real.
That there is a light in the sky that we can see. It proves that.
No, it proves that there were meteorites and comets. It proves it's real.
I was just about to say, real? Yeah, I can see there's something called Jupiter. I've looked at it with my naked eye. Well, was it with my naked eye or my telescope? I forget. Either way,
the Shoemaker-Levy meteorites are proof that they are real and tangible and physical, and that we could go there. And you're a moron to think that the Shoemaker-Levy meteorites are not real.
To think?
Shoemaker-Levy 9.
Hold on, what do you mean?
Oh, is that the name?
I'm not following you. To think that they're real, you've only just told me about them, and they're just lights in the sky. What do these other lights in the sky that weren't formerly seen until a certain time? How does that prove physicality? I don't follow you.
Well, how would they crash into the surface of Jupiter if they weren't real?
What do you mean? Well, that's a presupposition that they're crashing into the surface, that it's got a surface and it's being crashed into. The lights meet in the sky, correct? Where are you getting crashing and surfaces from? This is all presupposition.
Yeah, but you can see something. You can see lights crashing into something, so it looks like lights are crashing into lights and having some kind of...
There's that word again. Crashing. That implies physicality. That's a presupposition that you're trying to prove.
Yeah. Well, how else would you explain lights crashing into lights and causing explosions?
There you go again with this crashing word.
So are you saying that the Shoemaker-Levy meteorite storm in the mid-90s is fake?
No, I'm saying lights interacting with each other is very different than you suggesting a crashing of physicality when you're suggesting that these lights and their interactions just by what? By default prove physicality? Because you presuppose they're crashing? Well, no.
NASA told me that they were crashing. Is that not good enough?
No. It doesn't matter who says it either.
Okay, give me a minute. I'm going to look up on Wikipedia for evidence that supports my assertion. Hang on.
You're going to Google it after you've made the assertion. That's lovely.
No, I'm going to look it up on Wiki because that's my Bible.
Yeah. You already made the claim, though, eh? So what?
Yeah.
I haven't actually asked you to provide any further cowbell, but you're way ahead in character and off to Google after making your claim. But were I have said, can you give me any support for your claim beyond just pulling apart the fallacy in the statement? You'd now be Googling it or saying on the spot fallacy, right?
Yeah, it's an on the spot fallacy, Nathan, that I don't know what to say next. So what I'm going to do, Nathan, I'm going to go onto my Bible. And here we are on Wikipedia, and this tells me that the Shoemaker-Levy 9 comet was a comet that broke apart in July 1992 and collided with Jupiter in July 1994. If it's collided with Jupiter, Nathan, it must be physical, right? Because how would it not collide if it wasn't?
The story that they were giving, I remember watching this as a young youth, being fascinated by it on Discovery Channel and all this other crap. So the story was this couple, the Shoemakers, and this one guy, Levy, apparently discovered this shit. But the idea was that these things were, the comet was getting close, and then the gravitational force broke it apart to a pearl. So there was like a line of these comets, or whatever the fuck you want to call them. And then they hit the Jupiter, and then Jupiter was scarred. So you could see like these black marks on Jupiter, like 4 or 5 of them. For months or weeks, I forget how long. Unfortunately, I was poor and I was a kid and I didn't have any way to verify this. So if right now, if it happened, I can pull out my telescope, or even maybe the P900 with the proper focus. You can actually look and kind of see what they were talking about. But there's no way for me to validate this myself.
Isn't Jupiter a gas giant?
Correct, and they were trying to figure out why is it staying there for so long? Maybe it's liquid, and there's gas, liquid.
Actually,
things are crashing into gas.
Yeah, things are crashing into gases, and then they're
Things
leaving
are crashing into
stars
gas
that stay for months.
that's sticking together in a vacuum. That's adorable.
For weeks or months, I forget how long. Just I'm sure it's in the wiki that the scars were there for literally like a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, longer than when you would
actually. Real quick, I actually had
hold
a
on, Paul.
telescope
Sorry,
during that time.
Anthony's got one point in. I just didn't get an address to it. So Anthony's gone to the first word he highlighted, and I think it was collided.
Yeah.
That's just a presupposition, isn't it? Isn't that what you're trying to prove, as opposed to asserting it by way of presupposition in this article?
Yeah, well, Nathan, it looks like the lights that we saw in the sky made contact with the lights, the big light in the sky, and it says that the prominent scars from the impacts were more easily visible than the Great Red Spot itself, and persisted for many months. How can you deny this, Nathan?
Well, actually,
hold on, Paul. Just 1 second.
Now?
Just 1 second. This was just discussed. That's why I wanted to link the two together, Paul. I'm really sorry. So you say scarred in this claim to be second law of thermodynamics violation, gas giant in a vacuum, but it's got weather patterns next to the vacuum that are now getting scarred. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okie dokie.
Alrighty then.
Well, here's what all I was going to say is I will validate that I observed through a telescope during that event. I saw lights traversing through the sky, and it seemed like it was hitting, or at least heading in the direction of Jupiter. I never saw the actual impact, and I did actually see. I'm saying impact because it's the rhetoric they're saying, and I did see what it looked like dark spots on Jupiter. So I can validate the observation. I just can't validate the explanation of the observation.
I know we're not looking for an explanation. We would like a cause of the scarring in the weather patterns of the thermodynamic violation that is Jupiter. So, a cause. What caused the scars? Now, according to the presupposition in this article, it's an impact. Correct?
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Well, I know you're saying, yeah, of course, in a high-pitched tone, Anthony. But no. We would need to validate that cause, wouldn't we?
Yeah, well, we can observe it, Nathan, and we can calculate it. So if we can calculate it, it must be true.
No. We're dealing with the physical and natural world. And these lights in the sky are part of our physical and natural world. So I'm more than happy to say that we've so far got step 1 of the scientific method pegged. We are observing phenomena here. Would we all agree?
Yep.
Yes.
So I actually observed that phenomenon. So yeah.
Perfect.
Sorry.
So Paul has observed the phenomenon of lights in the sky interacting with one another. So what's step 2?
Shut up and calculate.
Formulate a hypothesis.
Not formulate, not calculate. No, wrong.
Formulate a hypothesis.
Yeah, perfect. So we've already got half of the hypothesis, haven't we? We've already got the dependent variable. We've got the phenomena. That's our effect, the dependent variable. So there's half the hypothesis. So what's the other half that we need?
Cause. Independent variable.
Perfect. So we need a presumed cause of this effect. So what is it we're presuming, or what is it this article's presuming is the cause now? Did it say, what was the word you highlighted first, Anthony?
Apparently impact.
Impact.
Colliding.
A collision. So it's saying they collided. That's what the cause is. The two things interacted physically. A physical collision. They collided. Well, if that's our presumed cause, definitely not valid at this stage, how would we validate a hypothesis?
I know. I'll wear a white coat and I'll tell everyone it's science, and that makes it science.
No, that's not how you validate a hypothesis. Well, let's just add one extra step, and it makes it clear why science is empirical. A hypothesis, otherwise known as scientific prediction, doesn't just have one side. So far, we've got what we would call an alternative hypothesis. If impact, then scarring, right? Albeit very simplistically. We're not going to detail controls. Anyway, you'd also have a null hypothesis, which is if impact, or collision, whatever you want to use, whatever word, if physical interaction, not scarring. So, at this stage, we've got a mirror of the affirmative claim with a presumed cause of physical interaction. And we've got our effect. We've also got the mirror of that, which is the null. If physical interaction, no scarring being the outcome. So, one or other will be confirmed when we go on to the next step. So, what's the next step in the scientific method?
Systematic.
Experimentation. So, okay. So it's the actualization of the hypothesis. So how would we actualize this hypothesis? How would we vary and manipulate that which we assume at this stage caused the effect? In this case, we've got a presumed cause of physical interaction. How are we going to vary and manipulate the physical interaction with Jupiter?
Nathan, you're being unreasonable. Nobody can get out and alter asteroids and comets that are going to impact planets. Don't be silly.
Then it isn't science.
What?
Then it is not science.
Nathan. It's astronomy, Nathan. Of course it's science.
No.
When do we calculate, though?
We don't. We don't do anything. We're supposed to be... No one's answered me. How are we going to physically manipulate the physical interaction with Jupiter?
We don't have to physically manipulate it.
I guess you gotta wait.
Just observe it.
No, we have to physically manipulate it to confirm or validate. And because we've got a null, we have the or invalidate our presumed cause of the effect. If a physical interaction is our presumed because this hypothesis is worthless without the actual actualization of the hypothesis. If we don't actualize our presumed cause, it remains a presumption. Well, that's not satisfactory. We want to validate this presumption as being correct or incorrect. Now, the empiricism is given when we perform the experimentation. We vary and manipulate the thing we assume caused the effect, and if it does cause the effect, we have a valid hypothesis, confirmed by experimentation. If it doesn't cause the effect, then we have an invalid, a confirmation of the null. Empirically valid, not causing the effect or causing the effect, one or the other. Only one or the other. Empirical. But to just move forward and say, I assume it, and I'm not going to validate it, that's pseudoscience.
But Nathan, your definition is too narrow. It's too narrow.
Nathan, this is a natural experiment. See, look, in Wikipedia, it says a natural experiment is an empirical study in which individuals are exposed to the experimental and control conditions that are determined by nature and other factors outside the control of the investigators. This is an experiment, Nathan.
Oh, really? Go ahead and share my screen. Tell me when it's up.
It is up.
Natural experiments from Wiki, their alma mater, are a different type of quasi-experiment design used by researchers. It differs from person by treatment in a way that there is not a variable that is being manipulated by the experimenter. So let's take a look at this word. What does quasi mean?
John, you weren't supposed to read quasi.
From Oxford Dictionary's quasi, seemingly, apparently, but not really. Synonyms for quasi: pseudo, not real or genuine; sham, spurious. 1 second, please.
Nathan,
from Craig P. Using
John.
natural. I'm not done yet.
No rumpusing, please, Anthony.
From Craig P., the Journal of Epidemiology and Community Health. The term natural experiment lacks an exact definition, and many variants are found in the literature. The common thread in most definition is that exposure to the event or intervention of interest has not been manipulated by the researcher. That means no viable independent variables, means no experiment. If you're unsure of that, let's roll on up to what an experiment is. The three constituent parts of an experiment: dependent, independent, and controlled, from Penn State. From the Institute of Physics, what are the variables in an experiment? Independent, dependent, and controlled variables. It's not looking good for your natural experiment so far. In fact, they're dead. Any questions?
Yeah, I just want the audience to notice that when you were doing that and I started to rumpus, that's just what rumpus does and what all of them do when they start losing. And then I stopped and then I lost.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have stopped.
And they won't.
That's the point.
Thanks. Prosecution rests.
But you're
Nathan.
I'm sorry.
Hang on. I got a request out of chat from Mason B. Tell Nathan, can you please fix the side chat on the left side of the screen? It's a little annoying not seeing the live chat there.
Oh, is it not working? That's frustrating. Yeah, no worries. I'll be on it in a moment. Thank you for letting me know, Mason B.
Oh, and by the way, whilst we've got like 10, 15 minutes left, go over to my channel in the next 10, 15 minutes and watch the premiere that's coming on. If those of you that are out there that are curious as to whether Trish Blythe is actually a barrister, I'm going to demonstrate and prove that she cannot possibly be a barrister. So if you're curious, go and check it out. Oh, and she inadvertently debunks Miles the Liar Davis. And there is one other thing that's really interesting, and I can't actually remember what it is now, but check it out. It's really, really going to be good.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
Are we done housekeeping?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, all I was going to say is your guys' definition is just too narrow. I'm sorry, guys. It's just too narrow.
Yeah, to be empirical, you have got to be particularly narrow. Science is narrow. It is very specific.
But I mean, it sounds, from the sounds of it, it seems like we have to vary and manipulate the independent variable.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Really?
We can just observe it.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, naming things is science, right? I mean, Brenda told me that. Should I not trust her?
No,
We
Brandon.
don't have to manipulate it. We don't have to manipulate it. We can just observe it, right? And even if you show me 10 citations that prove that I'm wrong, I'm still going to assert that you can just observe it, because I don't want to admit that you've got to manipulate it in an experiment. So it doesn't matter what you say, I'm still going to deny it.
You're a science denier, Anthony.
10 times.
No, all they do is substitute math equations for the independent variable.
I was really I was going to give kudos to you and John for that little bit of role play and the explanation thereafter, Anthony. So yeah, exactly. At the point that the devastating point or conclusion of the devastating point arrives, they'll talk through it. They'll make sure it doesn't reach the audience. They'll rumpus the living crap out of it, which is what Anthony did when in character. Yeah, he shut up immediately, so the point got made nice and concisely, but also with a handy demonstration of their only tactic at the moment. Their only tactic is to make sure you're not heard. Use the fundy globehead mute button, which is to say they'll talk through the devastating conclusion.
That's what happens when you're oh Jesus, I forgot the word. Give me a second.
On the spot forgetfulness fallacy?
Yeah. That's false.
I've just remembered what the other point was on my premiere. Gem Panda gets made to look like a right dick.
What, for the 10,000th time? I mean, you just keep clobbering this guy over the head. Does it ever reach an end point where you just ignore him?
I've ignored him for 18 months, man. I've not even seen him around for like that the longest of times. And then I saw that he'd done a hate video again, and I was like, "Oh, we're back around to the hate again, are we?" I've not watched it, but I've heard it's really good. So go and check out his video, and then come to my channel and watch my video instead that debunks everything that he says.
Can you spam your link? We're going to stay live for another 10 minutes or so, but obviously your show is starting in 12 minutes. When this live show ends, if you're watching on Nathan Oakley, obviously ignore all this if you're watching on Nathan Oakley 1980. But yeah, after the live show ends, go and check out Sleeping Warrior channel and his premiere. So I heard Trish Blythe's name. What was her involvement in this?
Basically, Spurs Chemo asked her the other day whether she was a barrister or not, and she confirmed that she was actually a barrister, right? Well, the key point for a barrister is that they pay particular attention to the semantical meaning, the minutiae, the intrinsic, pure meaning of words. And when someone claims to be a barrister, I don't expect them to misrepresent what I say, which is what she does, and I've demonstrated it. So, for example, if I say the sky is blue, I do not expect a barrister to then recite my words to say that the sky was red, because I didn't say that. I said the sky was blue, and I would expect you to recite my words the way I said them. Trish Blythe doesn't do that, and a barrister wouldn't do that. Trish Blythe changes what I said and then claims that I don't understand what's going on. It's completely false. So what I'll be doing is playing the clips that Trish Blythe says, then showing the bits that I actually said, and then showing that Trish Blythe is misrepresenting what I said, and then claiming that I don't know what I'm talking about. Is that the conduct of a barrister? Is it balls?
Yeah, but Anthony, it could be another viewpoint. You know that, right?
But that's not what she's not doing. That though, she's not expressing her personal opinion. She's giving legal advice as a barrister at that point. She's arguing that I don't know what I'm talking about. But guess what happens? She gets absolutely destroyed.
Well, it could be that you just embarrassed her.
Professionally embarrassed her, yeah.
Thank you. That just went over your head, Anthony.
I got that. That was funny.
Embarrassed, brother.
Embarrassed? I've missed it. What have I missed?
Barrister.
Oh, that's really good, 10th man.
10th man, it comes quick.
Embarrassed her. Yeah, that's brilliant. Well done.
Trish Blythe, you're embarrassed her.
Yeah, so make sure you check it out. It's really good. You have to pay attention to it. So if you're in chat, follow it along because it's a story. It's like a storybook. And at the end of it, I conclude 3 points altogether. It's one stone killing 3 birds. Miles the Lie Davis, Gem Panda 2012, and Trish the Barrister Blythe.
So you're going to spam the link in the chat?
I have done. Haven't I?
Okay. I didn't see it go by. That's in about 10 minutes, just under.
It should be in the thingy now. Can you see it?
Yeah, I do. I see it now, yes. Well done.
Yay. Yeah, it starts in 9 minutes. It's like the countdown timer for the launch at Cape Canaveral, if that's where they still do it from.
My English is back, so I can now say that science deniers like Brenda and the Rumpus, when they're going devastated and they're depressed, they're in deep despair, they'll try to obfuscate and Rumpus so the audience will not hear the argument.
Yeah, that's what happens. Start over speaking, and once they sense that one of the flat earthers has got one of the ball earther friends cornered, they then immediately speak over you to stop that conversation getting addressed.
Yeah, that's because they're science deniers, and that's the only option they have.
They're not science deniers. They don't know what science is to deny it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Hey, John,
science believers.
Nathan, I need a complaint form.
For what?
I need to submit a complaint that John kicked somebody, even though it was Chris, and he was doing whatever he was doing to justify being kicked. I think it's unfair that Chris gets kicked when he wasn't swearing, he wasn't being rude, he was just being dumb.
That's not my department. That's Betty's department, fortunately.
Ah.
Terminator doesn't care.
You can't reason with it. It can't be bargained with. And it absolutely will not stop.
Justice for Chris.
Exactly.
Send it to the embarrasser.
Oh yeah, that was good.
That's great.
That was really.
I thought Trish was all right.
She is, but she's just not a barrister. What she is, in my opinion, she's an experienced, like 10-year, veteran paralegal. She spent all of her time in an office law firm doing officey things, but she can't do the legal research. I heard Spurs told me that she researched the education law that she said that I was wrong on Google. Well, that's not what barristers do. They've got subscriptions, and they go onto the legal database and they find very narrow, precise versions of law, which is exactly what I did, which is what I demonstrate in this Hangout. It's really good. You'll learn stuff if you go in there. You'll see how they use the legal databases that Gem Panda claims that all I did was life. What did he say? He said something like life for money or something like that. He described it as.
Yeah, he made out that essentially you'd implied that without funding you couldn't get on the course to put your course the requirements for the course to be satisfied so that you could get your paper into the education system and reviewed based on its legal particulars, because that's the specialist area that you're in. And he was saying, no, you could have just, and I think he's misrepresenting what you're trying to achieve here, because he's saying you could have got the information in regards to the heliocentric and Copernican model into all of the areas that you said you were trying to go into just by using Google. And your defense presumably is, well, no, you couldn't, because you can't get the information just from Googling it.
Yeah, you need to know it's there. If I tell you that there's something to go and find, then you know that it's there to go and find, right? But if you don't actually know it's there and you have to research it in a different way because it probably doesn't exist. Because do you remember, Nathan, in the Hangout, I said to you, I'm hoping that I'll find some old antiquated law that was like 1896 or something like that. And it was 1996, but I didn't know it was that recent. But nonetheless, it was very narrow. But it's exactly what we're talking about. Now, to know that exists in the first place makes it easy to find. But I didn't know that it existed. I needed that access to be able to locate it. And then, what do you know? I located it. And then we have the conversation. And that's why there is the valid debate to be had. My assertion is that the teaching of the heliocentric model is promoted as partisan political indoctrination. That's what it is.
Okay, so just to give an update to my audience in this regard. So from what I gathered, obviously I'm subscribed to Sleeping Warrior. Subscribe today. His link's been going by. If you're not already subscribed, do so. And if I'm watching this with you on Nathan Oakley 1980, I'll also spam the link to this show that we're talking about. But to give a bit of background, you've challenged, correct me if I'm wrong, Gem Panda to go out and find initially a piece of legislation in regards to the safety warnings that would come on saddles, and he declined. So you then reset a new challenge in regards to the legislation in regards to honey. Can you give us a bit more detail? And then we've got about 5 minutes, and then I'll round out this live show.
Yeah,
So
give me 15 seconds before you go.
No problem. Go ahead, Anthony.
So the first one was a bit harsh because it was blind, and although everyone sees those stupid stickers that like warning stickers that are like unnecessary, there's a reason why they're there on a lot of products that you buy, and it's because there's this little stupid piece of legislation that says you've got to put these signs up. Now, the reality is we all know that we don't really need them. It's for the dumb people in society, right? But I asked him, could he go and find where that legislation comes from? And to be fair on him, right, that's really narrow and it's really hard to do when even if you know it's there, it's hard to relate to. So what I did was I went into the databases and I searched for something that gave me a different result than what you do when you search for it on Google. And that's all I did. So and I knew that everybody had they'd go to Google and type in honey law UK. And I knew they'd come back with something different, which was the point. Because if all you're going to do is Google it and you don't get the information that I'm asking for, then you fail. It makes my point for me that I do need access to the database to do what I did, and therefore disprove Jeremy's claim that I was, quote, bullshitting for cash, unquote. So, and that was basically it.
Yeah, I mean, I bit, just because I kind of understand your psychology to a certain extent, so intentionally I bit, and I was like, right, I'll just do what I think he's leading me to do. Google search it, see what I get. And it didn't take long. It was like 2 links with precisely what you said as the search term, and then I think in an article I found a link directly underneath to the legislation, which I posted to you in Skype and was like, it can't be this easy, and you were like, nope.
Yep. And obviously that's the thing, like if you know that there's something there for you to find, then it makes it quite straightforward to look for it, regardless of whether you get the right answer or not. You already know that it's there. I didn't know it was there. I was hoping it'd be there. Common sense tells me it might be there, but also the nuances of law might not. Nobody might have. It may not have been the case that anybody anticipated that this might actually be legitimately challenged at some point. But thankfully, there's been a parliamentary draftsman that has done that at some point, and it's in the legislation. I just didn't know where it was, and I couldn't find it. It's a needle in a haystack unless you know where it is. But then I found out where it was, and then Jeremy goes, oh, yeah, it's dead easy. That all you do is type in Section 406 of the Education Act, and there it is. Yeah, that's when you know that the answer's there. But if you don't know the answer's there, you've got to find it. And you can't find it by looking through every piece of legislation and looking through every single section, because you're never going to find it. You've got to look in a different way. And that's the bit that Jeremy's a little bit ignorant on and called on, saying that it was, what did he say? Bullshitting for cash. But I just demonstrate that there's more to it than just Googling it.
Well, it's looking for an angle. So to have that database, I don't know which one you use, LexisNexis or whatever, but whichever one you're using, you're not saying, as Gem Panda's implying, that you just go to Section 406 of the Education Act. You didn't even know what angle you were looking for. So yes, it ended up being an angle regarding partisan political views and indoctrination, but you didn't know that was your angle until you started searching it in the LexisNexis database, which has got a completely different set of search parameters. Yes, some of the data is already published on Google, but you're never going to type in to a Google search, what would be my angle if I wanted to argue in law that children are being indoctrinated with the Copernican model? You're going to find your way to subsection 406 with that? I think not.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want
the whole point?
Do you want your 15 seconds, and then I'll round out this live show? Just before you do take your few seconds, Quantum Eraser, as this is going on and the live show rounds out, can you spam your link again to the show, which is starting in 1 minute?
Yes.
Go ahead, Quantum Eraser.
Yeah, I don't want the point to be lost about astronomy not having anything whatsoever to do with science. So we want one professional astronomer. We don't want these knuckle draggers that think they're looking through a telescope as astronomy. We want one professional astronomer to give us a single viable scientific hypothesis in the entire history of astronomy. Now, I will accept this. If these friggin' knuckle draggers go and contact an astronomer and ask him the question, and he sends it back, the answer back to them, I'll accept that. We need his name and his contact information also. So let me make this clear. We want one viable scientific hypothesis in the entire history of astronomy. Stay tuned, folks. This is going to be fun. Thanks.
And with that, I'll say if you're watching this live on the Nathan Oakley stream, then go to the chat and go to the link that's just been spammed by Sleeping Warrior to his premiering stream and continue the chat there. However, if you're watching this on Nathan Oakley 1980, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. A massive, huge, enormous thank you to all of you who did tune in live on the Nathan Oakley live stream. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. As I say, stay tuned if you're watching on Nathan Oakley 1980. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!